Good morning, student. In the previous video we had started our first chapter, that is crop production. In the first video we had seen some steps of crop production, that is preparation of soil, seed selection and sowing, then your manuring, irrigation, then weeding. Now today we will see our sixth step, that is crop protection. Crop protection. How to protect the crop? Now the crops are prepared in the field. It has to be protected from many things, like first, stray animals. Stray animals. What is stray? Stray means the animals which are moving here and there on the road or any field. They are called stray animals. They just enter the field and eat the crops and destroy the crops, eat the crops. So first, by fencing the field, we can protect the crop by stray animals. Second, from bird. How we protect our crops from bird? So by placing any statue or scared crow, we can protect the crops from bird. Now from pests. How we can protect our crops from pests? So first of all, we have to know what are pests. So pests are the organism which attack and damage the crops. They may be rodents. Rodents means like rat, or insects like locust, then your termites, weevils. These are insects. These rodents, they destroy the food produced, means the grain produced. They destroy only the grains. But these insects, they destroy both crops and the grains as well as. Now these pests can be controlled by using pesticides, which is a poisonous chemical. These poisonous chemical, they destroy the insects, their larvae, eggs as well as, and without affecting the plants. Now these pesticides may be insecticides or rodenticides. So insecticides, they kill the insecticides. Insecticides, they kill the insects like BHC, malathion. These are common insecticides. BHC, that is commonly known as in the market, you will get it from the gamexine powder. BHC is benzene hexachloride. It's a compound that is used as a insecticides. Now rodenticides, to kill the rats, like rodenticides like zinc phosphide, then your calcium phosphide, aluminium phosphide, all these are rodenticides. Now these insecticides, how to spray these insecticides, when to spray these insecticides. These insecticides can be sprayed by the hand machine, or when the land is too much large, it can be sprayed by the low-lying aircraft. When it has to be sprayed at the correct time with the correct dose, so that otherwise the paste might become resistant to that insecticides. Now these crops may be destroyed by some microorganism like bacteria, fungi, virus, and these diseases are transmitted through seeds, air, soil, or through insects. Some of the disease like rust and smut. Rust and smut, these are the fungal disease of wheat. Then blight potato, this is also fungal disease. Wilt, it's a disease caused by a bacterium. So rust and smut, then your blight of potato. These two are fungal disease. And wilt. Wilting you have read in class 6 or 7 also. Wilting process, when the excess of transpiration occurs in the plants, the leaves droop down. That is called wilt. So this wilt, sometimes the bacterial infection, they just block the xylem tissue. Xylem and phloem, these are the vascular tissue in the plants which conducts the water movement, and due to the blockage of the xylem tissue, these the plants might be destroyed or can't, and sometimes they become died. Now to destroy these fungal infection, we can use some fungicides. Now these pesticides like insecticide, rodenticides or fungicides, these pesticides must be used with some precautions because they can damage the useful insects also like honeybee, or they can, in the human being, they can cause irritation of eye or any respiratory problems. And the worst condition occurs when it mixed with the soil and the plants take it, and then we use the vegetables or fruits, and that enter our body and causes harms. Whatever fruits and vegetables we bought from the market, we always wash it first. Why? Because there is a layer of pesticides on them. So we should always wash the fruits and vegetables that we brought from the market. So this is your crop protection. Now next method is your harvesting, threshing and winnowing. Now our crops are ready to harvest, means it is matured. Now it has to be cut and gathered. That process is your harvesting process. So next is harvesting, threshing and winnowing. These you have read in class 6 also. So first harvesting, once the crops are matured, it has to be cut and gathered. And what are the implements? They may be done either by the hand using a sickle or by machine called harvester. Once it is harvested, now next the grains has to be separated from the stalk of the crop, and that process is called threshing. Again it is done either by this threshing can be done either by a machine. Nowadays these are done by a machine, or previously when science has not too much developed, it was done by making oxen or buffalo trampled over the cut crops. Means the crops are spread on the ground, and over them the any animals like buffalo or oxen, they just trample and trample over that crops, and the grains and the chaff, they are separated. So previously it was done, or the farmers which are not too much rich, they do this. So this is the threshing process. Nowadays they use the machine called thresher. Now a machine called combine, which are used both for harvesting and threshing. Now the threshing is complete. Now the grains has to be separated from the chaff, and that process is called winnowing. And this can be done with the manually. This can be done with the help of air or wind. That is called winnowing. Winnowing means related to wind. Now in this process, the mixture is allowed to fall from the height vertically downward. So the grains, they are heavier, they fall downward, and the chaff, they are lighter, so they just spread from somewhere and just stack it. Now when the crop has been harvested, the stem and the threshing has been done, the stem of the crop is cut into smaller pieces, and they are used as a fodder for the animals. Now once the crops are harvested, so they are not uprooted, they are cut. So some plants, small stubs, that is called stub, that is left in the field. What the farmers they just destroy by burning it. That is not correct. They cause the air pollution. They should free them. They should keep as it is. They just mixed in the soil, and they provide the nutrients to the soil. So harvesting, threshing and winnowing now completed. Now everything is completed. Now next and the last process is your storage. Once the grains are produced, now it has to be stored properly. So the last step is your storage. So whatever harvested grains, they normally contain some amount of moisture, and if we will pack it in either sacks or in silos or granaries, it might get infected by microbial infections, might destroy. So first it has to be dried in the sun. Before storing, it has to be dried in the sun. That drying, that takes all the moisture from the grains, and it is free from, now it is safe to store. Now this grains can be, when the amount is small, it can be packed in the sacks or in the bags, but large scale grains can be stored in silos or granaries. Now what are these silos? These are the long cylindrical storage with opening. So large amount of grains can be stored in that silos, and these silos must be free from all microbes, insects, rodents, and by spraying chemicals before storing the grains. And these grains are inspected periodically so that they are free from all these rodents, insects, and any microbes. Now these grains are harvested once in a year, so they must be stored safely so that they last till the next harvested season. But in practice, an extra stock called buffer stock is always maintained, so that grains are available in plenty, even if there are some shortage of rainfall or monsoon failure. So that at that time we can use that buffer stock. Now a new method of grain storage involves the use of nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas is circulated through the grains piles in silos, and this nitrogen, it replaces air and hence oxygen in the silos. They kill all the pests and microorganisms, and this is very simple and easy method to implement. So these are the steps of crop production. Now how can we increase the crop production? Since our populations are increasing day by day, as we know, our population day by day it's increasing, so we have to increase constantly the food production. So how we can increase our crop production or crop yields? So one method is by increasing the land under cultivation. But while this has happened in the last few decades, we cannot indefinitely go on increasing farmland, as these led to the environmental issues or environmental problems. But we can't increase these land. For this we have to cut the trees, and if we will cut the trees, again there is an environmental problem, there is a big environmental problems occurs. So to increase the crop yields, whatever we have discussed in the preparation of soil, that methods are the best methods, like providing better irrigation facilities, proper use of manure and fertilizers, use of natural method of replenishing nutrients in the soil, using better method of protection from weeds, pests and diseases, and increasing the use of modern agriculture implements. With the help of these methods, we can increase the crop production, and by providing the better storage method, we can also reduce the wastage of food grains. Nowadays, we are using a new technique that is called hybridization, means plant breeding. So what is breeding? Breeding means producing offspring. So scientists, they are just controlling the reproduction in plants and animals, so they can require the characteristic which make them more useful. So hybridization, it's a technique used for developing new variety of crops by cross breeding two different varieties. By cross breeding two different varieties, we can get our desired, whatever we want, we can get the desired characteristic of both the varieties. Like suppose one variety has a resistance to disease, and the second variety has a high yield. So when these two varieties are crossbreed, we get a third variety that has both high yield and resistance to disease. Now how this crossbreeding done? So to prevent self-fertilization, anther of the varieties of plants are removed by a process called emasculation. Emasculation means the pollens from the other variety of plants with different characteristics are transferred to the stigma of emasculated flower of the first variety of plant. And this process is repeated several generations to get the desired characters in the seed. And then that seed is called the stock of the new variety. Now the Green Revolution that takes place in India in 1960 and 1970, that was brought by a new variety of wheat from Mexico, high yielding variety of wheat from Mexico. And besides giving the high yield, the plants, they are smaller, stronger, and had better response to fertilizers. These varieties required much more water and fertilizers, and also required the frequent weeding, means the weeds should be removed time to time. And the effect was tremendous. Green Revolution, the effect of Green Revolution was tremendous. Like in wheat, the production of wheat in 1950 and 51 was 6.8 million tons, and it was increased to several folds in 2007 or 8, that is 78.4 million tons. So several folds. Same as rice, 22, it was 1950 and 51, 22 million tons, and it was 96.4 in 2007 or 8. So much several folds it has increased. So our crop production has increased several folds. Now next, so this is all about your crops. Now one most important topic we have to see, that nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen cycle. What is nitrogen cycle? Nitrogen cycle. Like water cycle, oxygen cycle, we have nitrogen cycle also. Nitrogen, we all know that nitrogen is 78% in atmosphere, but plants can't take it directly from it. So, and this nitrogen is necessary for the plant growth. So this nitrogen is needed for protein also, amino acid also, and nucleic acid also. So this nitrogen is 78% fixed in the atmosphere. Now in nature, nitrogen fixation is done. So plants can't take it nitrogen from the atmosphere. So first it goes through the from the atmosphere to the soil, and then plants absorb it. So nitrogen fixation is done by the specialized bacteria in the soil that we have read in the previous class also, rhizobium bacteria. There are some other bacteria also that returns nitrogen to the gaseous form. So the cyclic process of nitrogen being fixed, used by the plants and animals, and later returned to the atmosphere, that is referred to as nitrogen cycle. Now this nitrogen cycle has the following steps. First is your nitrogen fixation. So nitrogen means that atmospheric nitrogen has to be fixed. Now this nitrogen fixation this has been done by first rhizobium bacteria. So rhizobium that is present in the leguminous root nodules of the leguminous plants, they get nutrition from the plants, and in turn they convert the atmospheric nitrogen into usable form for the plants. So nitrogen fixation, the definition of nitrogen fixation, the process of converting free nitrogen gas that is present in the atmosphere into nitrogen compound is called nitrogen fixation. Now this nitrogen fixation first by rhizobium bacteria, now second by nitrogen lightning, second by lightning process. Whenever the lightning occurs in the atmosphere, there is a reaction between nitrogen and oxygen present in the air to produce the nitrogen oxide, and these nitrogen oxide then dissolve in rainwater to form dilute nitric acid, and this nitric acid reacts with alkalis of the soil to make nitrites. And some nitrogen fixations are also done by blue-green algae. Blue-green algae like nostoc and anabaena. Blue-green algae nitrogen fixation first by rhizobium, bacteria, by lightning, third by blue-green bacteria. Blue-green bacteria like nostoc, anabaena. These are blue-green bacteria that has the capacity to fix nitrogen into usable forms for the plants. So this is nitrogen. Now this nitrogen is fixed. Nitrogen fixation, first step. Second, nitrogen assimilation. Now the plant absorbs these nitrates from the soil and convert it into plant protein. Now second step is nitrogen assimilation. Means these nitrogen, now they are reached in the soil, and now the plants will take it in the nitrate forms and they will make the plant protein. And this nitrogen passes from plants. Now this plant will be eaten by the herbivores, and then the carnivores eat the herbivores. So the process of conversion of inorganic nitrogen compound into organic compound that become a part of living organism, that is called nitrogen assimilation. How assimilation? Means how they are used. Nitrogen. So second step is your nitrogen assimilation. Nitrogen assimilation. Third is your ammonification. Ammonification means when the plants and animals, they die, their remains are converted into ammonia and ammonium compounds by decay bacteria and fungus, by decomposers present in the soil. So the process of conversion of complex organic compounds into like protein into ammonia is called ammonification. Ammonification means the protein is converted into ammonia. The whatever protein is present in plants and animals, that will convert into ammonia. That is called ammonification. So third step is your ammonification. Next is your nitrification. Some of these compounds are taken up by them, means some of the ammonia are taken up by the plants, and the rest are converted into nitrates by nitrifying bacteria present in the soil. So the process of conversion of ammonia into nitrates by some bacteria, that is called nitrification. Just reverse, denitrification. Now these nitrates are absorbed by the plants, and the rest are converted into free nitrogen gas by denitrifying bacteria, that is called denitrification. So ammonification, then nitrification, and the last is denitrification. So this is all about your nitrogen cycle, how the nitrogen circulates in the atmosphere, how it are used by the plants, and again it will go in the atmosphere. Now we get some food from animals also. Plants also gives us food, and some animals also gives us food and other food products. So the breeding, feeding and caring of domestic animals for food and other products is called animal husbandry. Animal husbandry means in which the animals are animals are feeding, they are breeding and caring. All things are done for their products, that is animal husbandry. Now we get different things from plants like meat, egg. These animals are like goat, poultry animals, chicken, duck, turkeys, fish, sheep, pig. Now the large scale rearing of fish is called pisciculture. Milk yielding, milk animals, milk means milk yielding animals, milk giving animals like cow, buffalo, goat, camel. These are milking animals. Apiculture, large scale rearing of honeybee, that is your apiculture. So this is all about your first chapter, that is food production. Now we will start our next chapter in the next video. Till then, thank you.